Church family, Casey here. Hey, God has just been speaking to me, and I just wanted to have a moment just to make a video and share with y'all what God's been saying to me. And one of the images that God put in my head is if when you're watching like a nature documentary, right? Specifically in the ocean, and there's this giant school of fish, right? And they're just kind of swimming, they're doing their thing. And all of a sudden, a shark comes. And then you watch as the narrator, usually David Attenborough, with his British accent saying, "And we watch the school of fish swim in one motion, this way and that way, to avoid the shark's attack." All right, sorry, that was a really bad impression. But one of the most mesmerizing things to watch is to watch all of these school of fish, this minnow, move together in one single motion as if they're just one giant fish to avoid being attacked by the shark. In that way, they're just moving with one mind, in a sense, just like, oh, the shark's coming, so we're going to swim this way. And in a sense, and their purpose was to avoid being eaten, right? So they have one mind in the way they move and the way they act, and one purpose to avoid being eaten by the shark. And as I was thinking about that image, I just thought, isn't that such a great image of what the church should be like? So in Philippians 2, Paul is writing to this church and encouraging them. And he says in chapter 2, verses 1 and 2, he says, "Is there any encouragement from belonging to Christ, any comfort from his love, any fellowship together in spirit? Are your hearts tender and compassionate that make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another, and working together with one mind and purpose?" You see, Paul is trying to encourage the Philippian church here to work together with one mind and one purpose. And Paul lays out a list of questions in verse 1 about what we need to have as a church in order to achieve this one mind and one purpose. He asks the question, is there any encouragement from belonging to Christ? Guys, we could be encouraged that we as a church belong to Christ. It's his church. He paid such a high price for it. And so we can trust him to guide us and to lead us. And so we can be encouraged to know that God's going to do amazing things through Orchard Church. And is there any comfort in his love? We're in the midst of change. Maybe in your own personal life, you're in the midst of change. You're in the midst of discomfort. You're in the midst of a tragedy or a struggle. But you could find comfort in Jesus. And he also asks, is there any fellowship together in spirit? Guys, Sunday mornings, it's always a joy to be together Sunday mornings and worship and sing and learn with you. Sunday nights at Church on the Street, there's fellowship in the spirit when we all come together with all of our friends who come and enjoy a meal together. We have our Bible studies here on Wednesday nights here at the office. And as well as we have our starting to host Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. There'll be fellowship and God's Spirit is at work. Guys, we must join together and gather in spirit to see what God is doing. And the final thing that Paul says here is, the final question is, are your hearts tender and compassionate? See, church, Paul is asking us to examine our hearts, to look at our hearts, to ask us, are we tender? Are we compassionate to those in need? Are we a people who is so focused on our own goals that we forget to look at the interests of others? So, are we encouraged by belonging to Christ? Is there any comfort in being loved by Christ? Is there any fellowship together in spirit? And are our hearts tender and compassionate? Church, if we have those four things, then we can be this church that agrees wholeheartedly, that loves one another, and work together with one mind and one purpose. I believe that's the call that God has for us as a church. He wants us to be that school of fish out there moving together, side to side, doing what we need to do. And that purpose for us as a church is to love our community, to love one another, to reach the lost, to be a people passionate about Jesus and the encouragement and comfort we have from our love with him, to go and send that out everywhere else we go. So church, be encouraged this week. I just wanted to share that and just something that God's been speaking to me. Otherwise, if I don't see you here at the office during the week of Bible study, I'll see you Sunday morning. But stay tuned. I'm going to be posting more videos with updates and announcements about our church. And also maybe do some more of these video devotionals for us just to stay encouraged and just to hear what God's doing in my life. And I'd love to hear what you guys got going on in yours. God bless. Take care.